Guys, go ahead and sign in. Doing anything fun this weekend? It can be inappropriate. You can tell me. Going to the beach? Is it like beach weather now?
Well, I mean, almost. Sunday definitely will be, but I'm going tomorrow because
it's crazy. I feel like I'm still wearing like beanies. What happened to the El Nino? I was like bracing myself.
It'll be back week. Next week's gonna be really hot.
I've lived in LA my entire life.
Yeah.
I've never experienced such good weather. It's like, it doesn't make sense.
It's crazy.
You don't know how to dress.
I know.
Like, it's so, you don't know what to do. You don't know how to dress.
I know. It's the end of the world as we know it.
Yeah.
No, because,
guys, don't forget to sign in and then grab a handout.
yeah, I'm going to volleyball because we're supposed to have a tournament, but
Oh, like beach volleyball?
no, it's
okay.
volleyball, but because our tournament got canceled, they're like, let's have a volley day, it's gonna be.
Yeah, why not? It's just crazy. It's like
I
February.
wish we could go on Sunday, it's gonna be warmer, but
It's supposed to be 85 on Sunday?
I know Monday and Tuesday is supposed to be, but I think it's a little bit cooler than that.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah,
So excited.
Sunday is 82, Monday is 84, Tuesday is the real winter for Milwaukee.
What? That's
But
insane.
it's funny because the lows are 55.
Yeah,
I know,
it's
like
insane
drops
difference.
at night. Wow. That's insane.
Yeah, tomorrow it's 79. Alright.
Wow.
I'm down.
I feel like it's still really cold in the mornings though. It's like I still had a beanie on this morning. Do you have a lot of other stuff open right now on your computer? That's why. Hit Command Tab.
Girl, who just walked in, my domain name.
That's awesome. If you hit Command Tab, see how it pulls up everything that's open? And then you can just move around and hit Command Q and it closes them for you.
I love it.
Finding your what? Oh. I know, guys. I'm telling you though, it makes it so much easier.
Shoe? No, I left it at home.
Really? You tried some of ours? Did you try different USB ports? That's weird. I mean, these might suck. You guys might want to get your own, but
I left it on my desk.
they also like
okay, as long
these
as
are
it's
really
the
nice. These are like the wireless. I mean, I don't know if you want to spend money on them.
Amazon Basics, wireless mouse, $12.
Yeah, I mean, don't drop a lot of money on them, but it's just gonna help you guys as you're using all the Adobe programs. All right. Yeah, all right. So guys, we're gonna do more Photoshop today. So everyone, I have handouts up there if you want to grab one. If not, like I said, these are also posted on our website, so it's up to you.
Kyle's gonna get an extra, please.
So before we jump into Photoshop, I just want to talk about the assignment a little bit and make sure that you guys are clear on the mission here. Does anyone have any questions about it? Because I know we just kind of introduced this yesterday in lecture.
When is it due again? Tuesday or Friday?
I think it's due next Friday. Yeah.
Are you guys gonna give us a list of iconic images, or we should just find it on our own?
You guys have a curated list. So if you go over here to the folder that I shared with you guys, so it's ASCJ 200 lab materials.
Would we have received the email, like with the invite, or?
Well, I put a link to this on Blackboard under announcements, and it's just open, so you guys can all just grab it. If you have any problems, let me know, and I'll make sure you get squared away.
If we download it, it's not saved. Is it updated?
Oh, but the link is in. Yeah, I added a couple photos we're using today. But so in this folder, and I recommend you guys bookmark this folder because we're going to be using this every Friday. So there's all these different folders in here that we'll be dropping stuff in that you need for the lab section. But if you look here, there's a new folder I put in there called Iconic Photos for Project. And so all the images are in here that you guys can choose from for your project. I think there's around like 30 of them. So again, it's kind of a curated project in a way, because these are just different iconic images, and again, they're from different time frames. Some of them are historic, some of them are more kind of popular culture, commerce. So you guys can choose one. And the really important thing, just to kind of reiterate what Allison was saying yesterday, we're not as much grading you on your Photoshop skills. It's really about the critical thinking aspect of this assignment. So again, you're taking one of these photos, and it's really important to research the history of it. So who took the photo, where was it taken, why? You know, again, like we said, iconic photos kind of have to stand the test of time. So like, you know, what does it mean in popular culture now? Like really kind of tell us the story of the photo, and then use your Photoshop skills to manipulate it and tell a new story. And that being said, I just want to reiterate to you guys, I know we're doing our best to kind of just, you know, quickly show you some Photoshop tools that I think you might end up using for this kind of assignment, but there's tons of stuff in Photoshop, and depending on what you guys want to do, you might have a whole other vision. So, you know, with that being said, if you come up with a plan next week and you're not sure how to do what you want to do in Photoshop, just come and see one of us and we can help you. But we're just doing our best to show you how some of these tools work. Mind you, a lot of these photos and what I'm showing you isn't, you're not like manipulating iconic photos. I'm just showing you how to use the tool. Although we will play with one today. Yeah.
Should we be worried about being insensitive?
Not if you have a good argument.
Okay.
Like you really have to justify why you're remixing something and how you're doing it. So I wouldn't stay away from anything controversial. I mean, I think that's part of being critical thinkers.
Okay.
But just make sure that you qualify it. Yeah.
How did we like download it all at once again?
So there's a link on Blackboard.
Yeah, I have it open, but like, is there a way to download it all into my computer at once?
Yeah, you just click next to it and you can just download the whole folder. It'll like download it as zip. But you guys don't need those right now. What you need.
I would do that because it's when you upload update the folder, it doesn't update when you download it. So if you just save it to your Google Drive, you can just
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I do. See, well, for Mac users, see over here how I've just added it to my Finder and it's just through my Google Drive on my laptop. So if you guys want to do that, I might make it easy so you always have it here. But for today, you need the same folder we were working on last week called image manipulation, and these are all the sample files we're using. Yeah.
Can we choose iconic photos other than these?
No. So, and I added a couple in there for today, so that file did update since last week. All right, so I'll just show you a few things before we start because we have a lot to get through again. So again, just context, just to make sure you guys know what I mean. I'm sure everybody recognizes this photo, right? So this, again, this isn't somebody going in and manipulating the original. This was actually a photographer that was re-envisioning all of these iconic Hollywood, you know, posters and scenes. Like, what if they were set in Africa, and what if it was in kind of a black world? So, again, these were shot with using, they were resetting these photos, but you could arguably do the same thing with Photoshop to just go in and kind of reimagine that photo. So just kind of setting the tone for you guys. I mean, this is, they're reimagining these photos aesthetically, but within like a real purpose and a commentary on popular culture, right? Yeah.
So for the project, can we like take the character or like a part of the photo and like put it on something else like we did last week, so that it's not like we're like using things from the photo, but it's not okay.
Yeah.
Does that count?
Yep, you absolutely can. So this, like I said, hopefully just kind of gives you guys an idea of the commentary that we're looking for. Because the real point of this assignment is critical thinking. It's not so much like a Photoshop assignment. You're just using Photoshop as the tool. And just some, you know, quick inspiration. We're, you know, just working with a couple tools here, but you can, oops. So, I mean, there's a lot that you can do with Photoshop. So this was a photo that had they removed the ocean, and obviously it's a comment on the California drought. So it's kind of the iconic, you know, this isn't an iconic image in the sense of, you know, like a historic iconic image, but when you think of LA and the beach, you know, Baywatch, you kind of think of, you know, the lifeguard station. So again, this was taking elements from just a beach photo and kind of reappropriating it to a story about the drought. You know, there's people that make a living just kind of playing with remixing images. So again, I mean, this isn't an iconic image, but it's really changing the meaning of the, you know, this extreme close-up of this man's face, right? So I mean, there's some really fun stuff you can do in Photoshop. This is a very famous remix artist, Johansson. I mean, he does some really cool stuff. So just to kind of inspire you guys, I mean, just see what's possible, like what you can do. So, I mean, if you want to Google him, I believe his first name is Eric Johansson. He does some really cool stuff. But today, we're just kind of sticking to some basics and learning some tools. So, are there any more questions about the assignment? Otherwise, I'm just going to kind of dig us into Photoshop. All right, cool. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and open up Photoshop. And so this first tool we're playing with is the Quick Selection tool. So I'm going to go ahead and open that file. Let me go back to that folder. Okay, so what we're going to do with this image is we're going to cut both of them out, and we're going to create separate layers for them so that we can put them on top of a different background. Yeah.
Is that picture just the Google Drive? Or
Yeah, it's in the image manipulation folder.
the image?
The same folder we used last week. Yeah, it's called Quick Select. Well, hey, don't argue. All right.
Remind us that there's no But you said it's in, right?
Yeah, Eric is going to come help you. Okay, so go ahead and pick up this tool.
Oh yeah, space already a PSD file, so we should automatically.
It is a PSD file.
How do we update our image configuration? I have the photos from last week, but I haven't. Do I just go back into Google Drive?
Yeah, or if you have Google Drive on here, you could make sure it syncs or refreshes.
I think I may have just. I'll just go back to Google Drive.
You could do it that way too.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, it's, you guys raise your hand if you don't have the photos. I want to make sure everyone has it. All right, well, I'm going to start digging in. So, quick selection tool. So that's, again, the fourth one down. So remember, make sure you're on the quick selection tool because all these tools have hidden tools beneath them. And then up here, you can kind of change the preferences of this tool. So I have it set to around 10 pixels, somewhere in the 70% range for hardness. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut her out. And remember how we learned the marching ants last session for a selection? We're going to do the same thing. So with clicking and dragging, I'm just going to kind of click and cut her out. And so what you want to do is if you look up here, see how in my toolbar there's a plus and a minus?
Yeah.
So I can go in and using the minus tool, for example, I can kind of refine what I had. Like if I want to see how I just kind of moved this over.
Which one did you make it with? Plus?
So now I want to go back to plus and I want to pull that back out.
You can also just hold Alt.
Where's the search button?
You can, yeah.
I feel like.
So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you have marching ants all around her, and it's okay to have a little bit of the background because see how she has all this hair kind of flying away? We want to make sure that we pick up some of that. So I'm just going to kind of move around and make sure I get it.
Is it normal that it's making a shape as opposed to like a line?
Making a shape.
Like it jumps and kind of selects it.
Wow.
And guys, it doesn't need to be perfect. In fact, I don't want it to be perfect. You want to have some air around her because we're going to go clean it up.
How do you undo?
Command Z.
But it won't like stop the marching ants.
Well, you want to keep the marching ants. They're going to stay active. Okay guys, so once I have marching ants around her, I'm going to click up here where it says Refine Edge in the top toolbar. Yeah, so this is the Quick Select tool. It's the fourth one down. And I'm just clicking and dragging over her to create these marching ants. Guys, raise your hand if you're stuck because we can seriously come around and get you caught up. We're just doing her. For those of you that are pros, if you want to move on, you can because this is printed. We're going to cut him out too. So I'll show you quickly, and if I need to go back, I can. So I'm going to click on where it says Refine Edge. So see how it brings up this other menu? And I can see against this red, see how my cut was a little sloppy, right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go clean that up. So if I click on where it says View, I have all these different options behind me. So I can go back to transparent. I can keep it on red. So I'm going to go ahead and move it to transparent for a second. And so under here, see where it says edge detection? You want to make sure that you click where it says smart radius. you click Refine Edge at the top. And then you're going to get to this screen, and you can kind of change your view mode. And then you want to make sure that you click Smart Radius under Edge Detection. And then now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of paint around her, and it's going to kind of clean up those edges for me.
What if it's like not good at all?
That's fine. See how I have all this? So
Like, no, like, I mean, like, there's less of her than I want there to be.
well, you probably have to redo it.
Okay,
but
yeah,
for
yeah.
now, just go ahead and play because we're just playing. But yeah, you probably want a head on her. That would be helpful.
She's just missing a lot of hair.
That's so see how I go around and I'm just kind of clicking around her and it's just kind of cleaning up that edge so it looks a little more. Yeah.
Sorry, where's Refine Edge?
So Refine Edge is in the top over here, and then you want to make sure that you have Smart Radius detected. Okay, so the important thing is, you guys, when you're done cleaning up this layer, you want to make sure under Output that you go down to this Output menu, and you're going to create a new layer with a layer mask. Okay, so Output to New Layer with Layer Mask, and then click OK. And so now see over here how it made a new layer that's a copy? So now if I click on the eyeball next to the original, it's still there, but now I just have a separate layer on top of that photo that's just her cut out. Yeah, Grace?
Oh, so, well,
Oh, okay.
or just actually, once I get like this person with the dance around them, how do I need to like select them or something?
Click on Refine Edge at the top.
It won't let me do that. I don't know what it is.
Okay, guys, so I'm going to move on to cutting him out, and it's essentially the same steps. So Selection Tool. Yeah, so go ahead and move on to him.
Make sure you're on the back of the layer.
Yes, go back to the original layer at the bottom.
Oh, the original?
Yeah, you want him on a separate layer. Okay, so I'm gonna go clean this up.
So much easier to cut them out like this.
It's fun, right? Now you guys can go cut people out of family photos and
Yes.
have some fun. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing I did with her. I'm going to click on Refine Edge. And I'm going to keep it on Layers. Smart Radius. And I'm going to clean him up.
Are we doing the new layer with layer mask again?
You're doing the same exact steps with him. So he's going to be on a separate layer. And then I'm going to output him to a new layer mask.
Oh, okay.
So see how I have both of them? So they're each on their own layer. Command D.
Wow, my actually looks
Does it?
yeah.
Woo. Alright, so guys, for those of you that are here, and again, see over here how when I turn these layers on and off, I have a separate layer for each of them? And then my original is still there. So if I go back to my original layer, and I click down here, see this half circle? I can just change the background because I have them cut out. So again, I can just put them on a color. Oh, looks like they're on green screen. So down here, so I'm adding a color fill. But you want to make sure that you go to the original to do that. You don't want to add it on one of the layer masks.
Do you do solid color?
You can do a solid color, you can add a gradient, you can do whatever you want. But again, it's just to give you the guys the sense of like how you can just cut something out and kind of add it somewhere else.
It just automatically does that. And then I just did it on the background.
Well, I just selected that. So over here, I chose solid color and chose a color.
No, but like the color fill will always go to the background of everything you cut out.
Well, that's why we created these other masks, because these are layers on top of them.
You wanted the color fill to be the shape of the
So see how these are all separate layers? So I can turn this on and off. It's just a layer. So this is if I'm on the original and I click down here, I can create a new fill or adjustment layer. So I'm going to click on this half circle and just click on where it says solid color. And then I can just kind of pick a color and put them behind something. So we'll make it look like they're chroma key. So now I have a green color fill. And if
Yeah, the last tool stuff. Yeah. But you know, it doesn't. Right. This doesn't always work. I mean, it's just different ways. We're gonna be learning to touch. Right. Or how to put it with a flash,
If anybody follows football, Pat Hayden is retiring in June. Yeah. Yeah.
gonna move on just for sake of time.
Okay. Yeah.
So go ahead and quickly open. This one's just going to take a second, but it's just for you to see what the patch tool does. And then we're going to use it a little more aggressively. So go ahead and open, what's the helicopter one called? What's it called? ContentAware Fill? ContentAware Fill. Just go ahead and open this one up. This is just going to take us a second. It's the flag with the helicopter. And so over here under the eyedropper tool, you want to pick up the patch tool. It's the third one down. And so with the patch tool, just kind of, it's almost like the lasso we did the other day. Just kind of draw around the helicopter.
File new, or like how do you start a new?
Just file open, and then go ahead and open this one. It's called Content Aware.
Can you show us again where the patch tool is? Sorry.
Yeah, it's under the eyedropper. You probably see spot healing brush.
Yeah, it's on behind.
Oh, weird.
Ours is like a band-aid and then it turns into that.
Yeah, so it's behind the spot healing brush. It's in that same toolbox. So literally all you do is just circle around this helicopter, and then I'm just going to click and drag to a different part of the sky. And it's going to kind of patch in that color for me. And then when I let go, it just blends it for me. And then I just have to click to get rid of my changes. So I'm just removing the helicopter. I know it's fun, right?
Now we know why all these models are so
And just quickly, this isn't in yours and we don't have a lot of extra time, but if I pick up this other tool called the spot healing brush that's in that that same toolbox,
yeah.
I could kind of clean up the sky. I could see how it's a little bit, I could just kind of clean up these edges if I wanted to. That's another tool in there. So it's just to show you guys quickly. So now we're going to move on to another photo, and we're going to use that tool a little more aggressively. And this is a little bit of an iconic image manipulation, just to get one in there. Okay, so go ahead and open Yoko and John. All right, does anyone know the context of this photo? They did do that. There's another photo of that. So they were huge protesters of the Vietnam War.
Yeah. What is it called?
It's called Yoko and John. It's in your... There's a Christmas song. Yes. So... Yeah, it's an image manipulation. So go back to the patch tool that we just used, and we're going to use the patch tool a little bit more aggressively to get rid of "War is over" on their poster. This one isn't as easy as the helicopter was. This one's a little more tricky, so it's going to take a few steps. So what I want to do is I'm going to start with the word "is," just because that one's smaller and there's some real estate next to it. So just like we did with the helicopter, I'm going to select it and then just kind of drag it over
Oh, I don't know why mine's like really blurry.
and get rid of it.
So it's not a super high quality image.
It's not. It's a smaller image. And I'm going to do the same thing with the other words. It's going to take me a few times to kind of get rid of everything. So once you have the marching ants around it, you literally just click and drag it to another part of the canvas. And what it's doing is, see how I have content aware up here. It's aware of what I'm dragging it over, and it's kind of manipulating my current selection to look more like it. And then the other thing it's doing for you is it's blending it to make it look more natural.
Mine's like very spotty with the white.
Well, you might have to do it a few times. Like I said, the other tool in here you guys can play with is the spot healing brush. So you can go in and kind of refine, and it kind of does some blending.
We're keeping the if you want it, right?
Yeah, I was keeping it on there. You don't have to, but I kind of wanted to keep that there so it looks a little bit more like the original photo. And like we were saying, this photo is not that large. This is a historical photo, so it is a little pixelated when we're kind of blowing it up. But that's fine. We're just trying to play around.
It keeps filling it with a brighter white than it's even in the photo.
Can you spot healing and try to clean it up a little? Not, don't worry. The real point of this, you guys, is I'm just trying to show you how to get rid of things, and then we're going to learn the Vanishing Point tool, which is a good one for you to know if you guys are thinking about taking some of those photos and kind of changing the text in them. This is a good tool for you.
Where can I find that tool again?
The patch tool?
Yeah.
So it's under the Band-Aid.
How do you stop watching?
You can hit Command D to deselect. All right, everyone have a blank canvas? Yeah?
My canvas looks normal.
Okay, so I'm going to go down and pick up my horizontal text tool. So that's the T here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, again, make a kind of a political commentary on this poster. Again, this isn't a real assignment, but I'm just going to venture to guess if these two are around today and they were part of the political scene, they'd probably be part of Team Bernie. It's a little bit more for Revolution. So we're going to add them to Team Bernie today.
Trump, that's
Just for fun. See, we have Trump and Bernie. We're evening it out.
Sorry, did you
No
see
bias
the
here.
photo of Trump's face on the... I don't watch Harry Potter, but it's like an old lady from Harry Potter. They like morphed his face onto
No.
it, and it looks like it's an actual human being.
If we have time at the end, we'll
Yeah.
Google that one because
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
it's great.
Or if you want to find it.
Yeah, I'll find it.
Okay, so I'm going to pick up the type tool. And then up here, we're going to grab our font. You guys, when you're doing these photos and you're playing around, you can always, use whatever font you want. I just wanted to use one that I know we all have. So I'm going to use Arial, Narrow, Bold. And that's because I wanted to try to find a font. See how we want a font that doesn't have serifs, and we want it to kind of look a little similar to the original. So let's go ahead and change mine are already here, but make sure it's on bold, and then you can just move it to 72 point. So now I'm going to click on the poster, and I'm going to type in all caps, feel the burn. That's his slogan. Okay, so what do you guys notice about this, just from your kind of critical eyes? Because we've been talking about design in here. Yeah,
It doesn't follow the curvature of the poster.
right. It looks pretty fake, right? So I feel like we can do better than that. Like, we can go in and clean this up a little. Okay, so what we're going to do is go ahead and go up to Window, and you're going to open a new panel called your Character panel. And make sure all your font is selected. You're still in the text tool. You got to go up to Window and open up a new panel. You'll see a check mark next to Character. I remember when we were talking about design, and there was the lights that were at Walmart with the unfortunate lettering. Do you guys remember what that was called? The kerning, right? So mine's already my kerning is already set because I just did this exercise this morning, but you guys probably want to go in and change your kerning so these letters are a little closer together. So you can go ahead and drop it to about -50, and it just kind of pulls that lettering in so it looks a little bit more like the original photo. So kerning's over here. You'll see this VA in this drop down menu, so you can change it to 50. Okay, so on this text layer, I'm going to go ahead and hit Command, oh, sorry, we'll do it this way. Go up to Select and go to All. Sorry. Hang on, I just accidentally made a new layer. I was like, why am I not seeing marching ants?
So after you guys type in the text, make sure you hit on the check mark at the top.
Yes, I did not do that. There we go. So yeah, guys, always make sure you commit any changes you're making. So I want to select all over here on my layers. I'm on my text layer, and I just selected all. So see how I have marching ants around the whole layer? And then I'm just going to go up and I'm going to copy that to my clipboard. So I'm going to go Edit, Copy. So now it's on my clipboard.
How did you select all?
Just Command A or go up to Select All. And then the important thing is with the whole layer selected, you want to copy it. And remember, you're copying the text layer.
How did you get the marching ants?
Yeah.
So when you select all, you should have the marching ants around that layer.
What a different like thing. Like are you not on text anymore?
No, I'm on the text layer. See over here in my layers panel?
If you go back to background, select all of it. Where's the check commanded?
My check mark's gone, but there should be a check mark up here if you didn't commit your changes. To commit it, you can always do Command Z to go back. So let me do this once, and then those of you that are behind, I can go back and do it again. So again, I want to make sure that this is copied. So this is just kind of resting on my invisible clipboard. And then I want to go back to my background layer, and I'm going to create a new layer based on that layer. So with my background layer selected here, I'm going to go down to where it says New Layer. See how I have another layer that went above it. And I'm going to do a proper workflow here. Just name this. If I can. If I can. There we go. So I'm going to name this Vanishing Point. And this is just good because if you guys go in and you're really starting to manipulate things and adding a lot of layers, it's a good idea to name them just because it makes it easier to go back and know what you did. If they're all just named like layer 1, 2, 3, you're going to lose track. Vanishing Point, that's hilarious. So with my Vanishing Point layer, I'm going to go up to the filter menu, and I'm going to select Vanishing Point. Actually, before I do that, I'm just going to turn off my text layer so I don't have to look at it. So I'm going to click the eyeball next to it. And now I'm going to go Filter, Vanishing Point. See how it brings up a whole new interface? It's like a whole new window I can kind of drag around. So over here, I'm going to pick up this second tool that's the plane tool. It kind of looks like a little waffle. And with this tool selected, whoops, go back. I'm going to click all 4 corners of the poster and create a plane. And you want to make sure that you see a blue grid line. If you see red lines or yellow lines, just keep kind of moving things around until you have a grid. And then once that's done, just kind of click outside of it so you have your selected plane there. And then I'm going to hit Command V, and it's going to paste my text that I had copied before. And it's just going to kind of land up in the left-hand corner. And now I'm going to take that text to feel the burn, and I'm going to drag it into the plane that I just made. And see how it kind of changes the perspective. And so now I can kind of drag it around and move it. Command V. So it'll end up in this left-hand corner, and then I'm dragging it onto this plane that I just created. And when I'm finished, I'm going to click OK. And so see now how it looks a little bit more natural because the perspective has changed. So now it looks like it could have actually been written on that poster. Let me try to go back.
So I lost track. You had to do this. So how do I complete it? I'm on the back of my right now. How do I create a new layer?
So let me see. Oh, all right. All right, raise your hand if you want me to do those steps again, because I feel like I lost some people. Okay, so I'm just going to delete this layer. Okay, so I'm on my text layer. I just wrote feel the burn on the poster. So, and again, I want to make sure I hit the check mark or commit my changes, click OK to make sure I'm on this layer. So I'm going to go up to select all. So I have my marching ants around this layer, and again, I'm on the text layer over here. And then I'm going to go to edit, copy. So I'm copying everything on my text layer. So with that selected, I'm going to go back to my layers panel, and I'm going to click on the background layer. And I'm going to go down here right next to the trash can, and I'm going to click on this where it says create a new layer. And I'm going to create a new layer. And I'm going to name that layer Vanishing Point. Bless you. And I'm going to turn off my text layer just so I'm not seeing it. So I'm going to click this little eyeball here. And on this Vanishing Point layer, I'm going to go up to the filter menu, and I'm going to click on the Vanishing Point filter. And mine is already here because I created it, but you're going to go to the second tool, the Create Plane tool.
Wait, how did you get there? How did you make the new...
It's filter. So on this layer, you go to filter, Vanishing Point. And then using this plane tool, you're going to click on each corner of the poster to make a plane. And you're going to see a grid over the poster. And you want to make sure that this grid is blue. So when you're done and you have a blue grid, just go ahead and click outside of it, and you'll lose kind of the grid marks in the middle. And then within this frame, I'm going to hit Command V, or I could go to Edit. I'll just hit Command V. And so see how it copied over my Feel the Burn text that I had copied before? And so with this text in the corner, I'm literally just going to pick it up and drag it onto this plane. And it's going to kind of put it in place. And then when I'm done, I can just click OK to commit my changes here. And now I have my new photo. I can hit Command D to deselect the marching ants.
How can you resize the shape of your text to make it smaller to fit? Because it's not changing and bringing it to the bottom.
That's fine. You would do that on your text layer when you first made it. But that's fine. The important thing is you have the right perspective. But yeah, I would go back and like tweak the kerning and the size of it. Yeah. And you can still do that on the text layer if you want. Kind of play around with it. Alright guys, I'm going to move on just because we're out of time, and I want to show you the Liquify tool because it's kind of a fun one to play with. So sticking with politics, now we're going to move to the right, and we're going to open up a photo of Trump. So it's called Trump Hair.
Oh yeah, it's really little. Where's this going?
Hang on, my Photoshop is freaking out.
Is that in the new, was that recently added?
Was what recently added?
The Trump hair.
Yeah, I just added a couple yesterday for us to do today.
Sounds
So I'm going to open Trump Hair. And so on this background layer, it's the only layer you have. Go back up to the filter menu and choose Liquify. And so that's going to bring up a separate menu again. And you have a bunch of tools over here. So the first one we're going to play with is this first one called the Forward Warp tool. And you can kind of change the size and the pressure over here. And just play around with this one and have fun. This is a tool that you can do a lot of quick damage with, but it's also a tool that if you use it kind of sparingly and you have patience with it, this is a tool they use in photo retouching a lot to kind of make somebody look usually a little bit thinner. But we're going to kind of play around with this hair just to have some fun. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of click and drag on his hair.
Can we make it smaller?
You can make it smaller, you can make it bigger. So it's liquefying it. So again, I'm just kind of having some fun, making him look a little more wild.
What tool is this again?
This is the Liquify filter. I know, have some fun.
I'm gonna make it a little spiky.
Can do spikes. So again, I mean, we're doing something pretty drastic here because we're trying to make a comment, but another thing you could do is if you just kind of slowly do this around his chin, you can kind of lose that double chin and make him look a little thinner.
I was going for the opposite.
You could do that too. But I'm going to show you this one quickly so I can also show you the pucker tool. And again, kind of like the lasso tool, this is a tool where you really need to have a lot of patience because you need to do things in small steps. And it can get
Really distorted.
it can get annoying. So, and just hit Command Z if you want to go back.
It's also tough to not liquify the background.
Well, I chose this photo for a reason because look up here above his hair. What do you guys see? Those lines are getting really morphed, right? So pay attention to that when you guys are grabbing things. There's another photo I can open and show you where if I was really trying to just play with Trump's hair and then cut him out and put him on something, I'd probably choose a photo of him that there aren't lines like right behind his head because that's going to be a little harder. But so now that I've made him look thinner, I can choose this other tool here called the pucker tool. And this one you just kind of click over something and it does the complete opposite. See how it minimizes it? So I'm losing some of this extra skin here. I could literally make his nose a little smaller. I can make his ears a little smaller. So that's this tool here called the pucker tool. So kind of has an opposite effect. So it's just clicking around. Cool. All right. Yeah, you can do crazy, crazy stuff with this tool. So do you guys have any more questions about the assignment or Photoshop?
If we want help with our, like doing our own, can we come see you?
Yeah. And we're open till 10 Monday through Thursday.
But are you here every day?
I'm here every day, sadly. Not till 10. God help. Well, sometimes, but.
Not till.
Well, we're open till 10 p.m. and if you guys go into the help desk, they can help you with Photoshop too. But I'm in here. My office is right in there, so you can always stop by. Yeah. Have a good weekend, everyone. Bye. Bye. Go Broncos.